Welcome to Rome. This is The Bittersweet Life with Katy Sewell and Tiffany Parks. Hello, this is The Bittersweet Life. I'm Katy Sewell.
I'm Tiffany Parks.
Tiffany in Rome, Katy in Seattle. And today, if you didn't listen to last week's show, you don't need to necessarily, but we are going to be kind of riffing on my conversation with Julian Shapiro-Barnum last week about how to grow up without becoming a grown-up. He spent a good deal of time in his early career interviewing children about different big life topics, and from that has gleaned what he thinks kids are wiser about than adults, and basically what adults knew when they were children and kind of forget as they get older, which are things as basic as how kids play and talk things out when they're thinking through a concept. Like if they want to be a fireman when they grow up, they don't just talk about wanting to be a fireman. They like kind of pretend they are one to see what it might feel like, you know, to realizing that the rules that we all follow are a bit of a construct, and some of the rules we impose on ourselves might be a little bit too much. That we become, our parents are like the taskmasters making us follow the rules when we're kids, but then we become the rule taskmasters on ourselves, and that sometimes that can hold us back from discovering new things. So, I mean, there's a lot more than that, but that's sort of a brief encapsulation. And Tiffany, you just had a birthday. August is your birthday month.
Yep.
And your son's birthday month, for that matter. I feel like I have a huge amount of friends who have birthdays in August. August always feels like all the birthdays are going to hit at once. You know, they're all in August. You know, my sister Dana, who's been on the show a lot, her birthday's in August. So yeah, August is the birthday month. Not the best one if you want to celebrate with your classmates from school as you're growing up, but a pretty good one for the rest of life, I would say.
I think it's a great month to have your birthday when you're an adult, because I can't tell you how often I'm on vacation on my birthday, especially because in Italy, we often take vacation in August. It's a great birthday in the sense that like when I was growing up, I never had to go to school on my birthday, which for me was a good thing. I guess some people they would rather go to school and be able to have the cake with their friends and stuff. But I never did that, and I never missed it. And I was just like, I'm so glad I don't have to be sitting in class on my birthday. And as an adult, I mean, yes, I have worked on my birthday as an adult, but I have also taken many, many holidays on my birthday.
Yeah.
And so I think August is a very good month. It's kind of hard for Aurelio because in Italy, so many kids are out of town in August. And what he wanted to do for his birthday was he wanted to do laser tag, which one of his friends did this year, had a blast. And so I called the place and they're like, we're closed for the entire month of August.
Oh, no.
It's just like, oh, great. So since he had also had a broken wrist not long before, and since a lot of his friends were going to be out of town anyway, we have decided to postpone his birthday party this year until early September. And something I never usually do, but this year we were like, whatever, we'll do it. And also took the stress off of planning a birthday party for right after I got back from a trip, which would have been very stressful.
Right. My niece, Gracie, does that because her birthday's right after Christmas. God, I'm a little hoarse today. Sorry about that. Derek's fighting a cold, so maybe I am too. I don't know.
Oh, no.
But her birthday's right after Christmas, which is another kind of tough time if you're a kid to have your birthday. And so oftentimes they'll do like a half birthday party in July, you know, just to mark it so it doesn't get buried by all the Christmas festivities.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about growing up, though. You just had a birthday. So were you doing any reflecting on the fact that you are getting another year older?
To be honest, not a ton. I was very tired on my birthday. I had a lot of boring stuff to do, having just come back from a trip. I kind of just acted like it was a regular day. Claudio took me out for a really nice meal, and I was like, that's enough. Like, honestly, he's like, no, we're going to do more later in the week. I was like, no, we don't need to. We don't need to. I don't need a second birthday celebration with all your family and a cake. Honestly, I don't. And I think that is something that really shows that you're getting older when you're like, okay, a dinner with my husband is more than enough. Go ahead and buy me a present. Yes, I'll take the present. We'll go shopping one day and I'll pick something out for myself.
Sure.
I'll take the present, but I do not need a big party. I do not need a cake. I do not need blowout candles. He did have them put a little candle on my cake that my little dessert cake, single portion dessert cake that I got at the restaurant, which was kind of cute. But I really was just like, yeah, I don't need a birthday month, like some young people do, where it's like, okay, first I'm going to have my party with my girlfriends, and then I'm going to have a party with my partner, and then I'm going to have a party with my family. I'm like, no, I don't need that. So I didn't do a ton of like, oh, it's my birthday, thoughts. I just kind of was like, it's another birthday. Like I've had so many now. I just feel like it doesn't matter. And I really like making other people's birthdays special. I really like to make my son's birthday special and my husband's. But I sincerely don't care that much anymore about my own.
Yeah. Well, when you think about like what you were like as a kid versus today, is there anything that you would say that, you were like this as a kid and you're still like that now?
Absolutely. I think I'm goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Aurelio and I always talk about how we got the G gene, which is the goofy gene, if you don't know. One of my brothers-in-law, the one who lives in Wyoming and is like a big old cowboy and very serious, but he actually has a goofy side, which not a lot of people know about. He always says, "You and your sisters, you all got the G gene." The goofy gene. And I taught this to Aurelio and he's really taken it to heart. And so he's, convinced that he has it too. But I think, yeah, I think I've held on to that sort of whimsical
I was going to
way
ask
of
you,
living.
yeah, I was going to ask you, like, what's an example of the goofy gene? Like, what would you do?
I mean, just like you make jokes, you make things fun, you make things funny. You're not serious about everything all the time. I'm constantly joking around with Aurelio, and I feel sometimes like semi-serious situations. I mean, not like at a funeral or anything, but I'll be telling him to do his home. Like, he said to me today. He said, "Oh, I was saying, listen, as soon as lunch is over, I want you to go do your homework," because he's doing summer homework. Sorry, this is Italy.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do your homework. You're going to read 15 pages of your book, and you're going to practice the piano. And I was really serious about it, and he knows I'm serious. And he said, "Why did you get so mean?"
Mm-hmm.
And I just turned and looked at him really slow, like I turned my head really slow, and I said, "Oh, honey, I've always been mean." And I just feel like, I mean, that kind of joking around,
Uh-huh.
being silly. We laugh at so many things constantly throughout the day. We make fun of ourselves. We make fun of each other. And I think that is something that I've held over. And my mom was like that. My
Mm.
mom was goofy. My mom was young at heart, is young at heart. And we always played around like kids when I was young. And I also had like one of the oldest moms in my class. Sorry, mom, to throw you under the bus like this, but I had one of the oldest moms in my class. Although my mom was younger than me how do I put this? She was younger than me when she had me than I was. Okay.
Yes, I get it. Then you were when you
Than
had
I was
Aurelio.
when I had Aurelio. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I can't speak clearly. But she always seemed like the youngest mom of all the moms. She seemed like the youngest. She looked young, but she also seemed young. She had a young aura. She had a young way of being.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognized that as a young person. And I wanted to make sure that I was like that too.
Hmm. I was trying to think like what would be something that I still do. And I think one thing that me and Sarah, my sister in particular, but my mom also, personification, which was something we did as kids where, my mom, I don't know if she did it as an empathy thing or this is just how she saw the world, but if we were walking around kicking rocks, she'd be like, "Hey, don't kick that rock, you're going to hurt its feelings." And we'd be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Or, if you had a balloon, you definitely put a face on the balloon. So as it starts to lose air, helium and it's drifting around the house, it has a different kind of essence to it. It's still smiling, but it's getting on the weaker side. Imagining that something that's not real is real. And I don't think I do it as much anymore, but I can definitely like play along with it very quickly if it ever comes up. If there's like a certain stuffed animal or something, it's immediately like that stuffed animal is a living creature. And I can remember being a kid and, when you have those very special stuffed animals, and my very special stuffed friend was a doll my mother made me, whose name was Judy. And Judy and I went everywhere. We did everything together. Like if I'm outside reading books in the backyard as a kid, Judy's sitting on another chair reading a book also. And I remember being a kid. So this is where Katie's like more morose, dark side comes in. I remember being a kid and being a little bit sad because I loved Judy so much. But I also recognized that underneath all of the companionship, I knew deep down, I knew that she wasn't actually alive. And that because of that fact, one day we would be separated because I would die and she would not. She was an immortal being, an immortal being. But at the same point, I would, as a kid, look at her and just find it unbelievable to imagine that she was not actually a living creature, you know?
Oh my gosh.
And now Judy sits on my parents' bed and they put her in all kinds of scenarios. Their whole bed is covered in various creatures that have been purchased from all over the world at different times. They all have names and they all have personality traits. And they move them around as kind of a joke with each other. Like, we call them the kids, but what are the kids doing today? You know? And so sometimes my dad will set it up and the kids will be playing hide and seek, you know? And so they're poking out of various places in the bedroom, or like every Sunday they have them go to church, you know? And Judy's often the preacher because she's one of the biggest ones. So she's the preacher and all the other ones will be gathered around doing their various church tasks. So, I mean, it's all very inventive. That's something that they definitely keep going.
Yeah, that's a way that they are very young, because I think that's probably pretty rare.
That started when my dad, who is fighting brain cancer now, but his first bout of brain cancer was like in 2011. And that's when they started doing things like this. They kind of revived the kids as one of the ways that they were joking around while they were going through kind of a hard thing. And I have like whole albums on my phone that are just like stuff the kids are doing, you know, and they're all stuffed animals.
That's cool.
So
that's cool. Yeah. I think when you have children of your own, it's such a crossroads that you can choose to go. You really have the opportunity to go full on adult or to go almost like revert to childhood. And I mean, ideally, it should be a little bit of both, I suppose. You got to be a responsible parent,
right?
But you've also got to play with your kids. So it's like you have to be more of an adult and responsible, but you have to be more of a kid because you have to be able to relate to them and play with them and joke around with them. But I think that most parents, I would guess, tend to veer a little too far to the adult side. And it's so easy to fall into that, you know, crabby, serious, don't bother me, I'm busy parent, or just serious, even if you're, you know, even if you have time for them, just, you know, not letting yourself be taken off by the playfulness that they naturally have and just holding yourself back from it. Like you really have the opportunity to go full childlike, at least when you're playing with them. And it is a part of one of the things that makes parenting fun is that you have this opportunity, although a few people take it, I feel, to like really be, you know, to play again and to be a kid again.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting though, because I wonder, and we have no way of answering this, but maybe some people in the audience would have answers for this. You know, I wonder if it's different if you have more than one kid or not, you know, because when I think about playing, even though my mom was very playful and very inventive, oh my gosh, my mother was a very inventive mom, as far as like what can she have us do next. She was very good at like coming up with new ideas. So if we were starting to be bored or complainy, then she'd be like, what if you guys did this, you know? But what I don't remember, because we have like a troop of sisters, you know, and what I don't remember is a lot of my mother sitting in the basement playing with us. I think of her as off doing other things while we're playing together in the basement, you know, like I don't know what she's doing, cooking lunch, you know, folding laundry, all the terrible domestic boring things. But, you know, so she would come up with like, what about this as an idea? Like one of the things that she would do, because we didn't have a lot of money growing up. So she was also like very inventive of like, what do we do with like next to nothing? So one of the things she would have us do is she would just fill buckets of water and she'd give us a paintbrush and we'd go out on the black driveway and paint. Paint with water is what she called it. We're just painting and drawing. It's kind of like kids do with chalk, but without the chalk. you know? Yeah, so she was good with that. But I don't remember her like you described with Aurelio, where you sit down and build stuff with Legos for a couple hours together. Like, I don't remember her ever really doing stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's probably what you said. It's probably off. A lot of it is because you guys had playmates. You had natural playmates. You also, I believe, got along really well, even when you were little. I don't know, maybe not. I think you did better than me. Me and my sister did not get along. We did play together up to a certain age, but she could be a little bit not nice to me, and my mom would play with me. Now, what kind of play, I don't remember. But I do remember like doing handstands in my room and just goofy stuff like that. Like she could do a handstand when I was a young teen, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, I sit with Aurelio and we do a lot of Legos together. There is a certain amount of boredom. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like it depends on what you're playing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
Like for me, building Legos, I love it. Do you like puzzles? Is that what you like to do? Is that it, Katie?
I mean, I will do a puzzle, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's someone else who does puzzles, but like for me, it's like that kind of a thing. It's like I could just sit there for hours and construct if I have instructions. I'm not a creative Lego builder. My son
Mm.
is, but I am not. Like he's like, just use your imagination. I'm like, I have imagination, but not for this.
Yeah, I might have at one
Um,
point, but yes.
but you know, so we'll do that. I also love to organize. So I'll just sit and organize all the pieces by color and by size and like I love doing that. So I'll do that while he's building.
Mm.
Um and you know, trains, I love playing with the trains, the Brio wooden train
Yeah, yeah,
set. I
yeah.
love doing that. But like he's outgrown this, thank God. But he loved little cars and trucks when he was little, like all boys do. And I'm just like, I don't know what you want me to do here because I got nothing. Like I don't. What am I supposed to do? Push it around on along the floor or like what?
What's
Do
the
we line
scenario
them
here?
up?
Yeah, yeah. Very funny. And we're going to pause here and take a brief break. And remember, if you don't want to hear ads in your listening, consider supporting the show at the new $3 a month level. That way you'll hear ad-free shows all the time. Visit patreon.com/the Bittersweet Life podcast or find the link in the show notes. Back in a flash.
Have you ever dreamt of wandering the secluded icy blue glaciers of Alaska? Or shimmying to the top of a minaret in Samarkand for a secret city view? That is the heart of Wayfinder Life-Changing Travel, a podcast about the journeys that transform us. Come along, Season 2 begins now. So get ready to discover yourself and the world. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back. I mean, I think another thing, if I don't know if this is a childlike trait, but I did talk with Julian a bit about the rules. Yes, many of the rules help us maintain a civilized society, but there are rules in life that, especially if you're a real rule follower person, that you kind of impose on yourself as this is the right way to do things and this is the wrong way to do things. And one thing I've noticed more and more as I get older is that I am, and I guess I knew this as a high schooler too, I'm a little bit of a rule breaker. If I can like fudge the whatever the situation is, I will a little bit. And it's not in any kind of destructive or dangerous way to anyone else, but I will. I will definitely break whatever the proper rule would be. And I'm married to a person who's very much a rule follower, to the point where, you know, he won't even like divert off the sidewalk. He'll like walk to the end of the sidewalk and then turn. And if I'm in a hurry, like I'll cut that corner, you know, and he'll say, if everyone cuts that corner, it's going to ruin that person's grass. And I'm like, yeah, but not everyone is cutting the corner, you know, and I'm cutting the corner because I'm in a hurry. I don't feel like I break rules in any way that harms people, but if it doesn't make any sense to me, then I'll do it. Because I also feel like, you know, people, because of like the rules or because of habit pattern, will often do things in the same way and they cause problems for themselves. This isn't even a rule breaking thing, but like We've talked about this before in the airport. Okay. You come off your plane. You got to go to the bathroom. Everybody like gets to the first bathroom and they wait in this huge line that's to the right, by the way. They always like go to the right. You go to the left 3 minutes further down and there's nobody in that bathroom, you know? So it's sort of that brainless following of the rules. And sometimes you're like, well, why would I do that? You know, pay attention.
Yeah, I think that's more like the mindless convenience, like the low hanging fruit, like just, okay, it's the first bathroom, so I'm going to go there instead of looking for another bathroom. I think I'm a rule follower.
Yes, I would think so.
But I do think that I fight against this is what everybody does. Not that it's a rule, that it's just the low hanging fruit. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it this way because this makes no sense. And I'm constantly telling Claudio that because he's a rule follower as well. And I'll be like, you know, we got to do it this way because everybody else is going to go over there and we need to go this way. And he sometimes listens, he sometimes doesn't. But yeah, for sure. And I think that by following arbitrary rules, you can miss out. You can miss out on a lot of great stuff.
I know, and I wish I could think of an example because I was noticing it a lot when we were on our family cruise, which we talk about over on Patreon, by the way. If you don't support the show already, you can listen to that episode over on Patreon where we talk about the family cruise. But I wish I could think of an example because there were a few times when I just did something which was like slightly counter to what would be expected. And my dad noticed once. What did I do? I wish I could remember. And I looked at him and I said, I think I've always been a little bit of a rule breaker, Dad. And he's like, yep.
Try to think of what it was. I want to know what it is.
Try to think of it.
Well, I've found that as I've gotten older, just in the past, I don't know, 5 years maybe, I feel like I've become someone who like, it is partially following the rules, but it's like, I want to do the correct thing. Like, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I can be called out for having done something wrong. So, for example, here's a short example. We were at this hotel just the other day in Amsterdam, and we had breakfast really early, as we always do. And we headed out, and we came back to the hotel a couple of hours later, and it was not quite noon, so breakfast was still on because it was a Sunday. And Aurelio he just really wanted like a croissant or something, and we had been thinking of going into a cafe and getting a croissant. And I said, well, you know what? We were right by the hotel. I said, I think the hotel breakfast is still on. You know, I could just go in there and get some more croissants. But instead of just walking in, I went up to the lady at the, checking your room number. And I said, we already had breakfast, but my son would just love one more croissant. Could I grab one? And she's like, of course. And so I think that's like my way of breaking the rules now. It's like, instead of actually breaking a rule, I ask if I can break the rule, and then if I'm given permission, then I go for it.
Well, I mean, two things. One, I think by doing that, you give the woman the opportunity to be generous in her response. So in a way, I think that's charitable. However, what if she had said no?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have pushed the issue because
you would have just walked out and gone and bought a croissant somewhere else.
Yeah, or he just would have gone without, which would have been fine too. But I'm no longer willing to put myself in a situation. I mean, of course, there's probably situations where I would, if it were like really serious, I would probably do it. But like for that, I'm not willing to be like stopped and be like, I'm sorry, ma'am, what's your room number? Didn't you already have lunch? Like, I don't want that humiliation. Like, it's just, and it's the same reason that I always buy bus tickets now in Rome. Like, I used to never buy bus tickets. To me, quote unquote, wasting €1.50 on a bus ticket when only maybe one time out of 50, somebody's going to check my ticket. I never used to buy the tickets. Now it's just not worth the risk. I do not. €1.50 is more than worth it for me to be able to sit in my spot and not have to look out the window to see if there's a ticket collector about to get on.
Okay, fair. But I would say more like from the adult perspective, because I also have cheated the system of buying a bus ticket in Rome a million times. I think you get to recognize the value of paying money into the system so that it actually works. I mean, going back to your croissant example, I would just say it's all a lot of unnecessary chatter. Like, you guys could have been on your way. Like, I would have just breezed through the hall, grabbed a croissant in my hand as I went back, and gone like straight out the building, you know?
Well,
And
but I had to kind of go into a breakfast
No,
area.
I know, but like, knowing I am staying at the hotel, they're not going to really care, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if I wouldn't do it if I wasn't staying at the hotel, and I just like
Right.
be like, they've got a great breakfast in here, and like go collect a plate and walk back out. Like, I wouldn't do that. But like, for example, we're not going to go into this story. We talked about this story a lot over on Patreon. But, you know, I recently had a friend who passed away, which we may end up talking about more on Patreon or not. But like, I went to his house after he died and was talking to his mom. Well, part of that was my house key was in his house because he was one of my cat sitters. And a part of me wanted that key back, not because I needed it, although it was one of the original keys to my 1940s house. So it's like an old key, not because I needed it, but because I didn't like want it emotionally
out there.
I didn't want it as part of that tragic tableau, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just having it floating around where somebody's like, what's this key? And they just end up throwing it away. So as I'm talking to the mom and we're leaving, I'm thinking like, and the key hangs right by his back door. I was trying to think all along, what am I going to say about the key? Like, you know, hey, this is my house key. I'm gonna, in my head, I'm thinking about all this stuff. And then at one moment, she just turned away from me to grab something, and I just lifted it off the key lock and stuffed it in my pocket, you know, and never said a word about it. And part of that was just like, it's so much easier for me to just quote unquote steal it than have to explain all this, you know?
Yeah.
And it
I get
almost
that.
makes it sad. So he used to be my cat sitter, and, you know, it
Yeah.
almost makes it like, oh, an even sad conversation, you know? And instead, I can just steal my key back and not say anything about it, you know? And
Well, in that case, I really do think there is no one is being harmed by that. It is your property and you have every right to take it. The only thing I could think of would be like if there was a mirror on the other wall and she happened to see you do it, and then you'd have to explain, you know, and it's just worse, you know. It's like sometimes it's just easier to say, hey, can I grab a croissant for my son, than to you know, oh, you know, excuse me, can I help you? And then have to be like, you know, it just puts you on the wrong footing. It's like, I always want to be on the right footing.
yeah, but I feel like this is a change for you because we've done entire episodes about the rule breaking styles of Italy and how if you follow all the rules, you're a total sucker. So
I know,
it's interesting.
I know.
This
And
is
I mean,
maybe this is what happened
listen.
when you turned a year older.
I don't know. I don't think it's everything, but there's definitely like more and more things cropping up. And honestly, wanting to lead by example sometimes for my son. Like I remember one time I had a tour. I was doing a tour of the Vatican. It was a big group tour, you know, and all the people were just sort of like last minute, join the tour, join the tour. It's a big group of people. And as we're walking up, you know, I turned to this one family and I said, you know, how old are your kids? And he said, this one's, you know, 8 and this one's 6. And I said, well, if you say that they're both under 6, they get free tickets. And he goes, no, that's okay. I'm trying to teach my children to be honest. And I was like, like that's impressive because I mean, 9 out of 10 people are going to be like, great, like let me save money.
Yeah.
But I mean, I admired that. I probably would do the fib, and if you know, if the child plausibly could pass for 6, I probably would have said he's 6 and wouldn't have felt bad about it. It wouldn't have felt like he was like Aurelio was getting this terrible example. But there is something to be said from, you know, you don't want your kids to like overhear you saying some big lie.
Sure.
Right. That's a small thing. But like a real lie would be, you know, I wouldn't want my son to think I was a liar, you know?
True. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And like we're really, really trying to teach him and he up to now so far so good, but he's still little, although I don't know how much longer I can call him little since he's almost 11.
Yeah, right.
But to me he's still little. But you know, he knows that if he comes to us and he tells us the truth about anything, you know, that will help him through whatever the situation is. And I say we won't get mad. It depends on what it is, I suppose. There are some things that you could get mad over, but you know, the idea is just be honest with us and we'll deal with it together as a family. And so I really appreciate the fact that at least up until now, I know he's being honest with us. Like I can tell. And I also can tell that he has like this, he can't really lie to us. He would feel bad, you know. I could just tell he would struggle with it too much.
Yeah, I think that's all very good. That's definitely not the kind of like rule breaking I would do, I suppose. Another example that popped into my head, and I don't know if this is breaking the rules or not, but this is an old example. This is me in my 20s. I was working for a kids radio station. The first radio station I ever worked for was a kids radio station, which was a total blast. By the way, talk about inventive, because, you know, kids, I was writing advertising copy, and that was my main job. I was also their columnist, Dear Sylvia, in their magazine. And, but, you know, with kids, you can just be like, I'm making the wackiest advertisement you've ever heard. You know, it's crazy. There was no limits on what could be done. But as a part of that, we would often get these promotions where we would get these huge stacks of free tickets, and we were supposed to like, somehow, it wasn't my job because this was not my area, but to give them away to kids on the air, you know, as a promotion for whatever the company was. And one year, the year I was there, for whatever reason, I'm sure they'd done tons of promotion, but they still had a gigantic stack of these tickets that were to a local water slide park. And I happened to come across them on the day that they were set to expire. You know, like the promotion was over, and I have like, you know, a stack of 50 tickets to this water park. And I'm like, I'm driving down there, you know, I'm like, I'm going to drive down there. And they're like, well, what are you going to do? Just go to the water park? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go. Like, I'm going to get some friends to go, but I'm going to walk through the parking lot, and I'm going to give, even though the company, of course, would not want me to do this.
No.
I'm going to give them away to everyone I can find who's heading toward the ticket counter. And I still remember like some dad who was like dragging along all of these kids, you know, and he's about to be out $300+ and I'm like, hey, I got a bunch of free tickets. Do you want them? And he's like, looks at them and looks at me with this puzzled expression. He's like, are you serious? And I'm like, they expire today. Gotta use them today. But then when I think about it as an adult, I'm like, the ticket counter people all of a sudden has this influx where everyone who's showing up at the ticket counter has free tickets, you know, on the last day when they're valid. I'm just like, yeah, obviously somebody's passing them out in the parking lot. But for me, I mean, that is technically breaking the rules, but it's also like being Father Christmas for an afternoon, you know? It seems fun. And it seems like a waste. Like, I've got 50 people. I can help 50 people avoid like extraordinary charges.
If they printed those free tickets, it meant that they could afford to give away that many tickets. And if you had been sitting there being like, you know, this ticket is worth $30, give me 15, that would have been a little different.
That's true. I didn't even think about doing that. Maybe I should have done that. I had no money at that time. None. But no.
Yeah. See, this is how that's what my mind goes immediately. It's like, how am I going to cash in from this situation? I think I should get Aurelio in here to like final words about how to grow up, how to become an adult without growing up, or how to grow up without becoming an adult, or whichever it is.
Yeah, how to grow up without becoming a grown up. Yes, sure. Yeah. Have him come in.
Okay, I'll go get him. Okay, it's coming through there. We're going to sit and talk with Katy just a tiny little bit about growing up without becoming a grown up. Can your mom be an adult but not be grown up? How would you say that?
Not be a typical grown up.
Hello.
So Aurelio, tell me, since you're about to have a birthday, number one, how do you feel about
you have to talk here.
How do you feel about turning 11?
It's not that important of a birthday. It's not like my 10th birthday.
Yeah, what's the next important birthday in your opinion?
18.
18, okay.
That's a ways away.
Yeah.
You know, so I used to think that the next important birthday for you would be 13, because that's when you end up with a teen in your age and you become officially a teenager. 13.
Cue the psycho music.
Rather than 11, 12. Now you're 13, teenager. Okay, so when you look at adults in your life, what makes an adult seem really old to you?
The wrinkles.
Well, yeah, that's one part. Does your mom seem younger than other adults her age to you?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
makes her seem younger, do you think?
Yeah. Because she's my mom.
Well, yeah, you love her.
No, there must be other reasons.
And because she's fun.
Because we were thinking because she's kind of a goof, right? A little bit of a
Yeah.
goofy person. Is there anything else?
Because I'm so beautiful.
Mostly because you're a goof.
He sometimes says to me, just as a when he's trying to butter me up, he's like, "Oh, Mom, you look so young."
Good. Well, who seems older, your dad or your mom, would you say?
Not looks, like actual, like the way
Yeah,
we
they
behave.
how they act. Yeah. Attitude.
Seems older. And who seems like they're still a kid?
Well, still a kid? No.
None of
Well,
them.
maybe you, because you're funnier, Disham.
And I make jokes and we laugh and we don't take ourselves so seriously, right?
Yeah, but Papa is funny too.
Papa is funny. He has a funny streak. It just doesn't come out as often.
Really, what do you think the best thing about being a kid is, from your point of view?
Not having to work.
I think that's a good one. Yeah. But don't you think of homework as work, kind of?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't have to have a job. Yes.
Yeah, and you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your own improvement, not
That's
for
true.
someone else's profit.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Okay, I have one more question for you, Aurelio. Imagine back in the day when you were younger and you really liked playing with trucks. Okay? Remember?
Yeah.
What were you imagining when you were playing with trucks? Because, like, as little girls, we never played with trucks, so we never understood, like, what is happening in your imagination when you're playing with trucks. Do you remember?
No, actually, no, not at all.
Honey, we used to, he doesn't maybe remember this. He was probably 3 or 4. We used to set up on the floor like a whole bunch of, I don't know what they were, like big blocks or something. And he would stand in the back and I would sit in the front like the driver.
Oh, yeah.
And you had like a bucket or something full of like what represented trash. And you were like the trash man on the back of the truck who's picking up the trash cans and dumping them in. Do you remember that? You used to make me do that over and over. And I just sit there driving the truck. Let me ask you one last question. Am I a good playmate? Am I good at playing with you?
Yeah.
What would make her a better playmate?
If, like, for example, when we play with Legos, sometimes she always organizes. She does not do a thing.
I told you.
She doesn't build anything. She just
No.
separates the pieces.
Yeah, and they're already separate.
Yeah, but you
I
make
take things out to find stuff, and then I turn my back and they're gone.
True. It is true. But I make it all nice and organized for you so you can play with it better.
Does
you
it
can,
help
you can find
you?
your stuff?
Yeah, does it help if she separates all the pieces or not, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And remember, I did make something out of my imagination one day. I made a little beach.
Oh, yeah.
I made a little beach once. It was really cute. I did a really good job
That was the one thing you did,
in my whole
and-
life. Yeah, I know.
Well,
I
here,
gotta be more creative
see,
with
Tiffany,
Legos.
that's a note to you. So next time you guys play Legos, maybe Aurelio, it would help because you're able to kind of come up with things out of your imagination to build, and Tiffany has a hard time doing that with Legos. So maybe if you said, "Hey, Mom, I want you to make a toaster oven," or like tell her what you want her to make, and then she'll have like some sort of framework for what to do, or like build me a house.
Good idea.
Make me a
That's
car.
a good idea.
And
Okay.
then maybe she can do a not organizing play session.
That sounds like a good idea. All right.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Aurelio.
You're welcome.
Feel free to keep us going with the tips on how to stay youthful as we get older. And we'll do the same with you. How about that? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will leave it there. And until next time, this is The Bittersweet Life. I'm Katie Sewell.
I'm Tiffany Parks.
And I'm Aurelio.
Join us again. Bye.
Want to spend a week in Rome with Katie and me at a time of year the city is less crowded, less hot, but just as wonderful as you imagine it? Now's your chance. The first week of November, this year, 2026, we are taking an intimate group of listeners to Rome for a week of beauty, discovery, and pleasure. After our 13 plus years hosting this podcast, which at least partially is about Rome and based in Rome, and my 20 plus years of working as a tour guide here, it's safe to say we know this city. And Rome is a city that is worth knowing well. It has so many incredible layers of history, art, and beauty to peel back, and we want to share that knowledge with you, our listeners, and maybe even inspire new passions that you will nurture and deepen long after our trip is over. The vast majority of people who come to Rome barely scratch the surface of what this city has to offer. And this trip is different. There are only 8 rooms available, and 4 of them are already gone. So if you'd like to claim a room or just chat with us about it, get in touch. You can email us at bittersweetlifepodcast@gmail.com, and one of us will get back to you personally to answer all your questions. Or you can visit our website, thebittersweetlife.net, to find any additional information. We can't wait to take you to Rome.